Most people in life are looking for, how do I make a life worth living and a retirement worth having? They do that in a variety of ways. They go to school, they get an education, they launch a career, they get into a job, they pick their companies, and they stay there for as long as they can stand. And that's the truth about most people. When they build themselves into social relationships that don't function any longer, they literally change jobs. Or they're looking for more money for their family because they have personal goals and aspirations that they're trying to achieve in their free time. Or they're looking for more free time and they work too many hours. It doesn't really matter why they choose to make a job change, but a lot of people will change their entire life once they fall in love. If they fall in love, they get willing to move across country, move to a different part of the state, and literally start over in life. And when we do that, it's a lot of refreshing opportunities. We have fresh opportunities to talk to people, to do things, to share with them information. And here's the rub. When I came to do that, I had a fresh opportunity and start until I stayed at a local shelter. And after that, my life changed forever. What happens in the shelter is that all these men sleep on mats. They're lined up like a military camp, and openly we sleep on a mat on the floor. That mat on a floor allows us only a little bit of space with a chair in between for us to put our luggage or whatever we're schlepping in life, and literally take off our boots if we so choose, and take off our clothes if we so choose, but most men don't. We're allowed some blankets, and then when we turn them in, it allegedly stays with our number. The problem is that the shelter people don't protect our privacy. They don't protect our name. They really should be using note cards and 3x5 cards in an order so that other men cannot see the names of other people. It's not their right to give out names and introduce people unless they make it a policy that people are going to get to know each other. After I stayed the first day, someone cut the bottoms of my snow pants, and I believe the man named Wolf or Brian did that to me because I expressed to him that I really valued the pants. The next morning I woke and I had cuts all through the bottoms of the elastic of the pants. That problem continued. When I shared some very big and tall socks with a big and tall man who was somewhat polite and somewhat kind of the black community, a little bit while later I found a whole bunch of socks that were not mine, that were big and tall, back in my bag, that were filthy and dirty. I'm sorry, I'm not somebody's bitch, and I'm not going to wash their laundry, and it was an offense to me because he willingly received the brand new package of socks that a female black law officer gave me in a church. She didn't know what I was. She told me it was for the Girl Scouts. I don't really care, but the point is, I'm not somebody's bitch. When I say this, I'm saying this on a public television type of situation, but I'm also telling you about my life. When I lay down, I expect that my property is left completely alone. Yet there are little shits in this community that think they have the right to go into my property and take things. I've had many things taken. This morning I found food had been taken. More of my food, which is hard for me to find, and sometimes I literally found just thrown away by someone leaving the campus because they just can't pack it all in their vehicle and they can't take it with them, and it's brand new food. Now, do I go to pantries? Sometimes. I go when I feel safe, I go when the Lord leads me, and I go when I will be able to get in and out with too much problem. You see, my life is private. I may have a public channel, but when I'm alone in my own life, it is a private life. People need to understand the difference between private and public in the terms of taking photographs. We have a lot of people here from foreign countries. They have totally different laws about social media there than we have here. I'm on an international camera that predominantly serves Indians and Chinese. I know this because I've heard very little Japanese spoken around me. I occasionally hear it, and Korean language sounds a lot like the Japanese language. I'm sort of surprised by that, but then I'm not surprised because there's been a long history of question whether or not Koreans decided to populate Japan or vice versa, and that's what happened, and the language developed into different dialects. They all do come from the same analog type of language, and I'm not going to go into the history of the Japanese language and bore you with that, but my point is that when I'm sitting here making a video, I expect to be left alone. I don't expect somebody to walk in and interrupt me, but there's little shits that do that. They think that their life is more important than anyone else's, and they think they're going to do that to someone. But what I find offensive is that when I lay down with my property laying next to me, and literally a bat laying next to me, that someone thinks they have the right to put their hands in my pockets. I'm waking up this morning and finding my little notebook that I write things down in completely gone from my life. Now, why is that? Is that because some little Chinese shit thought they'd play a game and take things in my pockets immorally and illegally? Or is that because some old law officer thought that he'd molest me by putting his hands on me and taking things out to see what I've got in them? No one has the right to put their hands in anyone's pockets, especially when they're asleep. That is immoral. It is completely immoral that they're stealing things from me. I'm a homeless man. Who the fuck gives you the right to take one thing from me? This little banker employee drives by me 3 times a day. What, is he after me? Is he gay? Is he interested in me? I'm sorry, I have a love, and my love interest is female, and she is one of the most stunningly exquisite women you will ever see in my lifetime. And frankly, so is her second. and I'm only going to say that once. The reality is my Japanese wife was a stunner too, and I don't have to explain how beautiful my college roommate was, because that's none of your business. But my point is that in life we have moments of time to decide what kind of a human being we are. If we're a monster, then we interfere with people's lives. We interview them, we investigate them, we literally research them online, and then we go further and further out of our own morbid curiosity. No, your job is to run your company. Your job is to be an employee in an establishment. Your job is to work on your own time in your own life, developing your own needs, your own interests, your own hopes, your own dreams, your own aspirations, your own goals, and literally working your butt off with your friends, your family, your life partners, if you will, to get to those dreams. Now, when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you. When I'm talking about you, I'm talking about you. When I'm talking in my own life, I'm still talking about you, because I'm trying to say, hey, you've got a life, go live it. You've got a wife, go do whatever with her. But don't pretend to be something you're not. Don't pretend to be in my family. Don't pretend to mean that you have the right to put your hands into my bags, take things out of other bags, move things about, fold my papers which were not folded because they were going to be presented to someone in a business presentation, and now they're ruined because of your little game. It's a little shit teenage childish game to do that. Now, who would do that? We have to look at the different cultures and the different mores of the people who live in an international community. Each of those people have different ideas about what is and isn't lawful, but here's the problem. And I'm going to say it sort of passionately because I really want people to get this. You are in America. Your laws in your country do not apply to you here. At least that's my humble understanding of the law. If I'm completely wrong, then one of the most incredible, phenomenal political candidates of our day, Kamala Harris, can explain it in her videos, how the laws of international people affect us here. Now, there is international laws in terms of NATO, United Nations, the UN, and I probably said the same thing over, which I probably did, but that's okay. And then we have that Human Rights Declaration of literally human rights. Sorry, I'm going to get the things, I start to say Declaration of Independence, but we have one of those too. But my point is that if you're a foreign citizen, you must follow all the laws of our land to the best of your ability. Now, when some of those laws conflict with themselves, like sometimes there's a national law or an international law that conflicts with a local law. So what we have to do is our best to apply and basically honor both laws. It's difficult sometimes. I had to do that one time in my life before I had fully access to the legal ramifications of what that meant. But my point is, I'm not a lawyer, but I still followed the law. I gave one piece of information to that particular party that needed it, and I gave another piece of information that applied locally to someone else. And I'm allowed to do that because it honors the law. Now, when I talk about the law, I am passionate about the law. Am I a police officer? No. Do I point for the military? Absolutely. Have I pointed to some cells in this world? Absolutely. Have they picked them up? Can't tell. Maybe my lawful wife in the house of God knows, but the truth is, she is mine. And if you keep monkeying with my wife, buddy, I'm going to take you to jail. I'm going to take you to federal prison, but here's what else. The Lord God of all has this incredible thing going on right now. Have you noticed? Have you noticed that there are people getting ill? Now, when I say it, I'm sort of mocking things. But I'm not really mocking it, am I? Because somewhere along the line, someone or something or some illness came into America. And that American illness, that illness now that it's in America and apparently the rest of the world, which is sort of the fascinating thing, might have come from a foreign country. And if it came from a foreign country, then that person unlawfully came to America with an illness that is now impacting millions of people. Or some unlawful scientist who doesn't love America brought that into the American soil, and they didn't have the right to do it. You see, there's always someone flying by as if they're going to go shopping, and then they don't go shopping. Well, that happens to us. We go window shopping and then decide not to buy things. I window shop a lot. I look at, what do I want for my future? What do I need to schlep? But anything that I possess in my current body, or in terms of food, and anything I put in my bags is something that is lawfully mine. Now let's talk about that. I walked to this state across the state line. I had 2 people only along that entire walk, which took several days, help me. Those people chose to be moral and give me a ride. I chose that they were safe because I checked with God, and they were safe to help me. I actually ran into the guy who helped me the second part of my journey the other day, but that's another story for another time. What I'm saying to you is that the things that I have right now, I possess solely because the Lord gave them to me. Now, how does that work? If someone throws something away in a garbage can, it is a public garbage can, a public space. Generally speaking, across America, that means it is a free item for any person, any derelict, any homeless person, any traveler like me, to pick out and utilize. I literally have been provided for 100% by the Lord above, who led me personally through the spirit world to those items. My first backpack was found where the Lord told me to look. Every stitch of clothing that I'm currently wearing prior to becoming this homeless traveler in this state also came from the Lord, because I can walk into a store and the Lord will lead me directly to the rack, point out exactly the shirt he wants me to purchase, and I purchase it. So don't be playing around with thinking you're going to take me out of my clothes and take my property. What that means is you're stealing from God's plan. And anything that is on me today is something the Lord said I need you to carry. Let me tell you, I am kicking and screaming and pissed off that I have to carry all this crap because I'm old and I'm tired. I poop out. So when I lay down and they lay me down to sleep, as the prayer used to be that I used to say as a child in my little yellow room, that was a baby room for most of the kids in our house, and it ended up being mine because I'm the last of a load of puppies, is that the truth is that anything I'm carrying right now, God said carry, because there's a purpose for it. There's a need of it. There's a gift we're planning for it. So anybody who's putting their hands in my bags, like the other day I picked up a beautiful skirt, and I actually had to pick it up twice. I put it in my bag, and then the next day I found it was missing, and something else I didn't take with me at the Lord's choosing was in my bag. I was led by the Lord back to that trash can and found that item once again and put it in my bag. But then again, I woke up and it was gone again. You see, people like to play these monkey-ass games with people and see, what does he notice? Well, what I've noticed today is that everything I put into my bag to hand out to people about my homeless initiative is literally ruined. The pages that were protected and in a folder, nice and neat, not crumpled, not ruined, not anything, not ripped, are now folded in thirds and in the bag where there should be clearly cut brochures and well-written language about my program. Other pages of origination that were posted on a wall down at the Taco Bell, who lovingly supported me, allowing me outside their place to post a sign to support people buying Taco Bell gift cards, etc., to support the program, are literally now in that bag. And the pages that were pretty nice, new and neat, that were in there are now missing. You see, these little games that these little people play are foolishness. And here's why. Everything I write comes from God. So what in essence you're saying is, I'm more important than the Lord. Now think how that feels. These little people who are watching my Twitter accounts and listening to my videos and playing games. And I had a guy across the street over at Cracked who thought he was going to call me some drag priest, something like that. What the hell is that about? I don't know that boy from Adam other than that I tried to photograph his little food truck. People take photographs all the time. It's a public advertisement. He doesn't have the right to ask me what I'm going to do with that photograph. It's a fool's game, that boy and his black friends. I'm a 50-year-old man and he's a black man. How wise is it for him to create a hate crime on my life? Not too smart in today's life. Now, we are in a community that supports diversity. We are in a place that says everyone is welcome. Every type of human being, every soul, every spirit, every type is welcome. Every country, every nation, even though they're not really catering to all of them, is welcome here. The problem I have is that when I'm engaging with some of the Hispanics in the community, is they can't speak one lick of word about their job. So you've got a little alleged JSM employee running around carrying a Panera bucket. And I question this. Does Panera really want their food buckets, that they get pickles and other things, as I'm presuming, because that's kind of what those buckets are for, and oils and whatnot, do they really lawfully want their name being carried by a man who might be not here lawfully? And I'm just throwing it out there. It's just a question I'm asking myself and pondering. Carrying the trash of the street of the children and adults who throw their cigarette butts on the ground to litter our earth. Since I love Panera, and I literally ate at Panera all the time when I had a real life still, almost every day in the morning as a business person, long ago when the community where I used to live and have a townhome that I rented for 10 years or so, I'm offended that he's using that bucket in that way. When I walk into the Panera and I see a Walt Disney character drawn on a, a blackboard by some incredible artist who can draw Disney characters, which is a wonderful compliment to Disney, I question whether or not Disney and Panera have a relationship that allows that to take place. When I go down the street to a great hamburger shop that serves great hamburgers, and a man lovingly fed me the other day in trade for about $100 worth of value of shoes for a maybe $8 meal, I question whether or not the marquee that he displays is lawful based on advertising, and that he's kind of playing off of, almost in theft in a way, of intellectual property of a very famous film owned by a huge conglomerate movie house. You see, this is what a moral man questions. If you're inspired, great. If you just love dinosaurs, super. But you have to be really careful sometimes about the language we use. Now, everything that I write, everything that I script literally comes to me letter by letter or word for word. And when I don't feel it's right, I check with the Lord. And if he says you're wrong, and I get told that a lot of what I want to say, and I get restructured and say, nope, you're not going to say that. And I find that what I say gets me what I need. Now, is that manipulative? No. It's because the Lord God knows all his children, whether they're in the house of God or not. Last night, a black man accosted me with his version of God. What I could tell about him is that he was totally inebriated, and he was working for one of my favorite food companies, who I've had a little bit of consternation with of late. I'm not going to say that food company's name because they've had enough hassle in the news over stupid people who work for them. But the truth is, he was immoral trying to accost me with his religion as an employee of that company. If I had opened the door to that conversation, then that would have been fine. You see, we have to decide what is and isn't right in a moment of time, but this is my opinion. His opinion was obviously totally different. Now, when I make these audio files, what I get pissed off about is that this is my intellectual property being gifted to me by the Lord above because I do things freestyle journalism. I went to journalism school. One of my favorite reporters is Barbara Walters. What I love about Barbara is how she asks really tough questions, but she always loves on her guests, even if she disagrees with their life. And she sort of questions them in a polite way about it. Now, do I like her view show? Not very much, because women talk over each other and I can't understand half of what they're saying because I can't hear through their rhetoric. But my point is that I'm rendering an opinion, which is totally protected by the federal government under the First Amendment. So is my journalism skills, so is my reporting, so is my reporting of observations. So, what I'm saying is, if you're the ones who are stalking me, which is federally illegal, getting into my bags and taking my personal property, let's talk about what is found. You see, there's some cultures that say he lost it as a way to lie to themselves about what they stole. No, you're still lying in front of the Lord above. And as a pastor in my faith, which I'm fully allowed to be under the rules and regulations of my faith, to be a pastor, just as any other person who reads the Bible can be as well, that if you're stealing from me, what you're really saying is, I am God in your life. And let me be very, very clear, you are not God in my life. The God of my life feeds me every single day from loving and kind people who either make a trade with me, make a deal with me, or I pay righteously like any other human being who's a consumer for food. So in life, you have to decide whether or not you are a god or a demigod, and I guarantee you're not a demigod. If you're an original, come talk with me. I want to talk with you. I need to learn more. If you don't even know what that means, don't bother asking. It means your spirituality is so low on the totem pole that you don't know what the hell you're doing in life. Now, in life, we have moments of time to tell people how we feel, so I'm going to make this very clear. I love J&K solely, and I love their children, despite some of them being annoying as hell, like Rachel. But the bottom line is that in life, we have moments of time to tell people what we feel. As for my birth family, they're on a very short rope with the Lord, not me. And what they should be literally doing is stop listening to my audio channels, stop monkeying with my property, pay the bill they promised to pay, and leave my life alone. But most importantly, they need to be on their knees before the Lord, because their theft of anything they've done in life, or your theft of anything you've done in life, is literally on the block, the chopping block in front of God with this illness going on. Now that's my humble opinion. I'm rendering it to you. You can either like my face or don't like my face, but for the men who have shaved my beard and cut my beard in the night, the Lord is going to retaliate on your family. This beard is a religious beard. Don't you touch my face again. I might be a sound sleeper, but don't you monkey with my food. That's a federal offense. The FDA may come in and clean house in this street because your people are unlawful. But more importantly, you're unlawful before God. So as I preach, don't you think you're going to teach me one thing. My angels are most high. I got legions who cover my ass. And if you don't think so, just try it. Check with your family's health. In life, it's time to tell you what's real. You can either believe my audio cast or not. You can think I'm crazy or not, but I don't really care because the Lord knows your soul as much as he knows mine. And I live and breathe for God. I live and breathe for love, and the one I love knows it. In life, we have moments of time to tell people how we feel. Your opinion on my life is not welcome, and I don't need it solicited to me. If you're looking to work and support my homeless initiative, I'd be most grateful for you buying gift cards from the appropriate places. I'll give you the simple list. You may buy a Walmart card. You may buy a Rural King card. You most definitely may buy McDonald's cards. You may definitely buy Dairy Queen cards. And occasionally we buy Taco Bell cards. In life, you have moments of time to tell someone how you feel. You may also certainly support Miyazaki's. They're a local restaurant with marvelous food and pretty good quality people. And in life, I'm telling you, if you monkey with my stuff any longer, the Lord God just might take you home. It won't be me. I'm living my life, go live your life. If you want to learn about me, come and talk to me. But don't presume you have the right to gossip about my life. The Lord hates a gossip. Start doing more, and as Joel Osteen says, get yourself in a good Bible-based something. And literally, pagans are people who love God too. So don't presume I'm anything but a man who loves God, loves his house of the Lord wife. And that's different than what you mostly understand. So if you know what that means, I look forward to talking to you. In life, we have moments of time to tell people how we feel. And what I say and what I do is my opinion. It is not for you to render opinion on my life. It is not for you to render opinion on my station. It is not for you to render opinion on my money. It's not for you to render opinion on anything that I do today, tomorrow, the next day, next week, next year, or in 5 years' time. I am allowed my life, you are allowed your life. Don't ever forget what the laws of America are, but God's laws are most high. Pay attention to those 10 commandments. You are not allowed to steal in God's house, period. So don't pretend you're a good, devout Catholic if you're stealing my property. Don't pretend you're a quality Christian if you're monkeying with my bags. And don't, by all means, don't say anything in your mind that's negative about my life. Isn't that what the Bible teaches? That our judgments will come back on us tenfold. My life is not suffering because of something I did. Some of it is. But my life is not suffering now because of anything I did. It's suffering now because people, blacks, whites, Hispanics, all think they've got a game on my life. And their monkey-ass games is going to put them in hell in the house of the Lord. Thanks for listening.